Good evening. Welcome to Choices Podcast. You got Carcass, John, and Brad at Choices Podcast. You can find us at choicespodcastofficial.com. No, choicesofficialpodcast.com. And Choices Official Podcast, the Facebook group. And you can put your questions there in the comment section during the live show. And we don't care how many people are listening. We're growing. We love that. We have more views and more people subscribing. We ask you to go to the website and scroll down a little bit and subscribe to get our podcast. We love doing it, and it just makes us whole. We're learning. It's like a major group therapy on steroids. So we're all growing. We're all moving up the river, rowing as fast as we can. And tonight's subject is on forgiveness. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Oh, yeah. That's what I love. So I love talking about forgiveness. My wife, Sanka, was even talking to me about it this morning, how I caught her ear before on forgiveness, and she used it today. I thought it was really cool. But anyways, I would like to introduce my good friend Carcass John. We've been friends forever. He is quite the personality. I know you guys love him. So here he is on our weekly music lyrics.
Well, and once again, I had a chance to sort of preface this with a little vitriol yesterday, and I apologize. Hope you forgive me for that. But you're a good sounding board, Brett. So I was frustrated with some of the state of the world, and so this song popped into my head. This is "Get Together" by the Young Bloods. It's an oldie but a goodie from the late 60s, early 70s, and it goes a little something like this. Love is but a song we sing, fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring or make the angels cry. Through the bird, though the bird is on the wing, and you may not know why. Come on, people, now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together and try and love one another right now. And the second verse goes on, some may come and some may go, he will surely pass. When the one that left us here returns for us at last. We are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Then it repeats the chorus of come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try and love one another right now. And then it keeps repeating, which I think is interesting because it's kind of like they're almost parenting here, because I know growing up, my children had to hear the same thing over and over again. And I think sometimes we all need to hear the same thing over and over again to kind of get it in our heads. And it says further down, if you hear the song I sing, you will understand. Listen, you hold the key to love and fear all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. So, and then it goes on to repeat the chorus several more times because it wants us to really know that that we should smile on our brother and smile on each other. But anyway, what do you think of that?
I love that song.
Yeah, it's got a nice little melody.
I'd sing it, but I'd run everybody off. You know, it's one of those group sing-along songs.
Yeah, well, and you could do that. That's kind of fun. But anyway.
So, Carcass, tonight's subject's on forgiveness. You're the one that wanted to bring it up. Forgiveness is cool. I really taught a lot about that when I was a motivational speaker in my seminar called Discovery. I talked about it a lot. And after 15 years of doing it, I finally was learning about it because forgiveness is hard, man. You know what I mean?
Well, it requires us to step back on our and admit that you know that everyone's fallible and everyone can make a mistake, and that's what I don't understand. I mean, if we were to judge everybody with something they did years and years ago and have and uh, and maybe have repented of or forgotten or moved on from, I think that we wouldn't really have any friends. We wouldn't have any family. We wouldn't listen to any music. We wouldn't watch any movies because I see people all the time holding those things against other people, and none
Now,
of
come
us are
back to the
perfect.
center, carcass. Center. Come back to the center, carcass. You're way out here.
Okay,
You got it
get,
all out here.
get me back.
Come back to center. So, look, let's talk about forgiveness.
Okay.
How do you tell someone to forgive when they've been violated by somebody? Joe violates. Keep it savvy. Joe violates Bob in an amazing capacity that affects Bob for years, where Bob drank, Bob did drugs, Bob tried to cover the pain with everything in the world, try to make it go away, what Joe did to him, but he can't. Say Joe killed Bob's brother with a gun.
Hmm.
Bob's brother's name is Chuck. Joe kills Chuck. And Bob is so mad at Joe for killing Chuck. Chuck was his big brother, his wonderful, wonderful brother that meant everything in the world to him, and now he's gone. And Joe's in prison. And Bob's still going every day. That son of a gun took my brother Chuck. He tries to drink it away, drug it away. How do you tell Bob to move on?
Well, that's a very difficult question, Brett. And it everybody's different. I know how I've handled certain incidents, maybe not quite to that gravity, but I've the problem with holding on to something that's already happened, but the problem with holding on to the past is that there's nothing you can do about it. It's happened. You can't change it, you can't bend it, fold it, manipulate it, you can't do anything. You have to accept it for what it is, whether and you don't have to like it. But I'm telling you, what that thought process does is it starts to rot and starts to decay you from the inside out. And at some point, and I don't know how it's done other than getting it out of your, getting it off your mind, getting it out into the open with someone you can trust. But the past is perfect and there's nothing we can do about it, unfortunately.
Well, here it is. You ready, carcass?
I'm ready. I'm writing.
Bob has to forgive Joe for killing his brother Chuck. You believe
Okay.
that? Do you
Yeah, he
believe?
does. Our job is we have to make judgment calls all the time. You do it as a lawyer. I did it with customers when I was still out in the workforce. But Our job is to forgive, period. And that doesn't mean that we associate or still continue to associate, but we have to forgive them. And we have to let a higher power or a higher authority handle it from that point forward.
You mean to tell me that Bob has to forgive Joe for killing his brother Chuck?
Well, if he wants to be happy and stop drinking, sure. He has to.
How does he do it?
Well, one of my customers was Akeem Olajuwon, and he said that there's an ancient African herb called Rilligatawana. And when you take that herb and it takes effect, then you perform better. You do better. You have the wherewithal and the will
You're close.
to increase.
You're close.
All right.
I'm gonna throw some heavy stuff at you tonight, man, because I've been working on this subject a long time. Bob has to forgive Joe from his heart.
Sure.
His heart. However he has to do that. If he has to go to the grave, his brother's grave, and throw Joe's name down there and stomp on it or burn it, whatever he's got to do, he's got to forgive him from his heart. That doesn't, and the only reason he's forgiven him is for him. Bob. He's forgiven Joe for Bob, not for Joe. Right? He's forgiven him, giving it to God, because God's the Almighty. God can handle it. So Bob has to give Joe to God and say to himself or somebody else, I forgive him from my heart because I'm tired of the pain it's causing me. Every morning I wake up, I grab a chair in the corner and it's called pain. And I drag around with me all day long. And it ain't working. I'm drinking, I'm drugging, I lost my marriage. I got to let Joe go. So forgive him. That's how it works. It's hard.
You're darn right. It's hard. And the thing is sometimes, when I used to see pictures of some of the pictures that my dad would show me from the Air Force, where they would show a huge bomb crater. That had impact. It left a mark.
That's the same thing that the pain does to your heart and to your body.
Right. But, it
scars you.
Yeah, it scars you, but it's there.
Yeah.
And you're not just going to wave a magic wand and make it disappear. You have to adjust. You have to, and to your point.
You got to forgive him from your heart. You got to forgive him. It doesn't mean that you have to like it.
No.
And it doesn't mean you have to go kiss Joe's ring on his finger.
Absolutely.
It just, you got to forgive him. You got to. And that calls for everybody else who's been victimized by somebody. They got to forgive them. And it's the only reason they're forgiving them is for themselves, their own self, and freedom in their heart. That's it.
Right. I agree with you. When you forgive someone else, that frees you.
Frees
you. And it doesn't mean a hill of beans about the other person or any other persons around you. You have to set yourself free. And only you can do that.
Yes.
Nobody else can
flip the switch
for you.
You know what the Greeks say, don't you?
You're dead to me?
Yes, that's exactly what they say. You're dead to me. When my wife goes, you're dead to me, whoever that person is, done. But she'll forgive them.
Yeah.
They can still be dead to her, but she can forgive them. You know what I mean?
So what happens when someone has really wronged you like that, and yet you still have to see them and associate with them, maybe even work with them.
I
What do you?
walked up to a dude. I walked up to a lawyer dude one time who stole. I saved this dude's life in high school. We were in a big fight back then. He was getting stomped on, and I saved him. The dude ends up stealing from me, dude. I gave him a job lawyering, and he stole from me a lot. And I walked up to him and I said, dude, I saw him at the courthouse. I'm tired of carrying this around. I got to forgive you. And I don't care whether you accept it or not, but I forgive you. And I walked off. You got to forgive. You do. I mean, it was very freeing to me. I'm still dear friends with his brother. I love him. His brother and I are dear friends. But he's dead to me. But I forgave him. I know that doesn't make sense, but it's true.
Well, and that's your responsibility. That's nobody else's. If you keep carrying that around, I'm telling you, it will just rot your soul.
Yeah. God
I mean,
forgave me. God's forgiven me.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. That's our job. If you're a true Christian and you understand your gospel, it doesn't say judge righteously all these people that do bad things to you. It says, what does it say?
Oh.
It says to forgive them 70 times 7 for each offense.
Oh, listen.
That's a lot,
Dude,
Brett.
I'll take this to the next. You ready for the next level on this one? You ready,
Bring
Carcass?
Bring it.
How about the girl who was on death row in Texas when George Bush was governor? Remember her? And then she found the Lord. She truly, and everybody was writing letters to Bush to spare her. And the Pope even wrote him a letter. Spare her. Dude, that's serious, man, because you had that family over there going, kill her. And everybody else is telling you to spare her. She's found the Lord. You know what I learned?
What did you learn?
That's bigger than me, man.
It is bigger than you.
It is bigger than me.
That's why we have to stick to the basics. People spend too much time getting into the details and the intricate, gory details, and they can't even do the basics. They can't even do the basics first. And by the way, thank you, Griffin Schultz, for showing up. He's a buddy of mine from where I used to work. And he's a good cat, and he's a new father. And I told him that kids don't not only change your, it's a life-changing experience. It goes above and beyond, and there'll be a whole lot down the road where he's going to have to learn to forgive that child and love them implicitly.
He calls you the almighty Carcass.
Well,
I love that name.
He can do that if he wants. I think it's the beard. I that must be it. But think about it.
When do you forgive somebody?
You forgive them immediately. You forgive them immediately, because here it's not.
I think that's a cop-out, Carcass.
No, it's not a cop-out. You know why it's not a cop-out? If you know you have a bad tire, Brett, do you fix it, or do you just keep driving on it until it blows out and causes a bigger problem?
I'll tell you what I think the answer is. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
You forgive them when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Okay. Well, I don't disagree with that, but we're all a little different. I mean, look, I'm fixing that tire, man. I'm getting it fixed, because I was sick and tired of putting air in that tire, knowing that at some point it's going to blow up and leave me stranded. And sure enough, so I fix them. Now I know to fix them immediately.
That's
or to forgive.
That's good, Carcass. I tell you, in my seminar, you used to see what forgiveness did with people on Sunday. It was amazing to watch people run around the room free from all that pain they were carrying by forgiving somebody. Some people have to forgive themselves.
Well, there's
What do you think? What do you think Joe has to do?
there's another subject for another day.
No, it's not. It's for today, Joe.
Well, I'm telling
Let's
you,
talk about Joe.
we're our own worst enemy, Brett. And if we don't learn to forgive ourselves, how are we going to forgive somebody else?
I don't know, man.
Thank goodness you don't have to judge anybody. Thank goodness all we have to do is forgive them, and then let the big fella handle it. That's above our pay grade. It's even above your pay grade, and I know your pay grade was a lot more than mine. But all humans are built exactly this. We're all the same. Our responsibility is the same. Forgive. And it looks like we lost you. He's frozen in time, ladies and gentlemen. So Griffin, send me another question. Or Mark, are you there? Mark is probably trying to get Brett back. And
yeah, I was trying to get him back. He's totally gone. You know, it's interesting about forgiveness, and it's a hard subject because when something happens to you, and like Brett said, you know, you're dead to me. I do feel that, but I feel sometimes forgiveness is a two-way street. There are some people that are in my life that I've let go, and I'm not sure they'll ever come back in my life. I don't know that I forgave or I can forgive or I will forgive. They won't do it. So I see both sides. Why should I do it if they're not going to do it?
well, and the thing is your responsibility is to you. You have to go through the motions of forgiving them. That's all that's required. Whether they accept it, like Brett said, whether they accept it, whether you decide that you're going to hang around and hopefully they, and beg them to forgive you, to accept it or whatever, doesn't matter. Your responsibility, your principal responsibility is to yourself first. And it's
if you get to a point, and I 100% agree with that. I guess the way I could answer that would be is if I'm content and I'm happy with the decision I made and I moved on, then I guess I forgave and I just don't worry about it no more. Because there was a time I was. So if that was a time I was worried about it, then that means that I was stressed out. That means I wasn't ready to forgive. And at some point, I wrote it off and said, okay, moving on.
Well, I think the hard thing about forgiving others is, especially if they were close to you in the first place, is that you still want to hang on to that friendship and you're not ready to relinquish it. And it may be the best thing you could do is just get rid of that influence, that person, that whatever. And you don't have to be mean about it. I all of us have exes. All my exes live in Texas. I don't know. That's the song anyway. But, and there at some point, you may have to interact with them. There are people I just don't like, but I know that I'm going to see them out and about, or, we're in the public domain, but that doesn't mean that I have to feel bad about why I've chosen to remove them from a principal piece in my life. That has nothing to do with it. The fact of the matter is, I'm at peace with myself. I did the best I could under the circumstances, and what they do from there is up to them. It is not. I'm not carrying the burden for them. I've been through a few bad relationships, and where I found myself carrying 100% of my own responsibility and a major percentage of the other person's responsibility. And that's when it gets lopsided and things don't go well. So the long and the short of it is, unfortunately, you have to put your oxygen mask on first and then help the person next to you. And until you can do that, um, you have to be ready for the consequences. And it may mean you're going to ostracize your friend or that acquaintance, and you have to be ready to deal with it or see them in public again. But it's no big deal. Once you've made that decision, you stick to it, you remove that rot from your soul, and you move on. And I guarantee you it's cathartic. When you've learned
No, you're
when
right.
you
It
learn to
is.
accept that, it's all good.
There's a time and place for everything in when it comes to an emotional roller coaster, or your feelings when you've made a decision to break off something that's detrimental, and it hurts and it's really, really bad. I see Brett's coming back in. And you have to make a decision for yourself. And you said it absolutely. The other person doesn't matter. If they're never going to forgive, or they're never going to relinquish that, it's not up to you for that. That they got to live their life. You have to focus on you. And that, to me, when I made a decision to break off something and I walked away, I think I instantly forgave at that point, because I didn't really want to worry about the frustration moving forward. And I had to, for me, because that's just the type of person I am.
Sure.
I don't like to walk away and be angry. I like to be happy about things. And so if I'm not happy about things and I'm miserable, then I'm just going to wallow in it. And I'm just going to sit there, and it's my own cesspool that I'm in the middle of.
Once you can accept the truth of yourself in the situation, once you can accept that, then it gets a little easier to do it again next time. The problem, I mean, I don't think anybody in this round table wants to be disliked, but it may happen. And nobody in this, we don't want to ostracize ourselves from the public view, but it may happen because we made the right choice. I'll tell you right now. And since Griffin, my former coworker's on here, there was nothing wrong with where I was working, but after a while, it didn't feel. It felt like I was shortchanging myself and maybe even the company, and I felt like I needed to remove myself from that situation. Now, does that mean that I that I didn't like my coworkers? No, that's not the case at all. I felt I needed to make a move, and there was all sorts of moving parts that were including the death of a coworker that I knew for a long, long time. That basically, I mean, he was, he just one day he's there and the next day he's not, and I thought, am I going to just one day poof and be gone? And there's a whole lot of things I'd like to be doing. So the truth of the matter was I had to put myself in a better place. And retirement just happened to be, I was close enough to where I just took it early. It has nothing against anybody where I was or whatever, but I was thinking first of this vessel, and then I was trying to help the others. But Brett is back, and he's chewing on his cud there. He's got something to say.
I'm enjoying listening to you guys. I think you're right on, both of you.
Okay.
And, listening's a muscle,
It is a muscle.
and I like to listen.
Well, once again, I think that we learn more by we learn more than our audience at times, because we have to kind of think and prepare in our head what's going to happen on this thing, and we want to make it worthwhile. I know I do. And but the forgiveness thing, it takes it, just like working out at the gym. And by the way, I'm back at it on a regular basis, and it feels good. Didn't feel so good the first 2 weeks, Brett, but now I feel my strength returning. Muscle memory is an interesting thing. And just because you did it way in the past, and your body will eventually remember that path again. So I'm week 3, and here I am my body starting to remember.
Oh, dude, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So, but it's no different with how we live our lives. You know, we all make mistakes. We all get off the beaten path. We get off
Well,
the.
that's the reason in AA we have the going to make amends.
Yeah.
You want to stay sober, go make amends to everyone that you violated, whatever that list is. Make a list and go. I still do it. I see somebody, I was like, you know what, man, I owe you a solid because I owe you. You know, I need your forgiveness on something I did a long time ago, and I try to keep clean slate that way.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I mean, come on, I'll do it.
Well, and you have to get ready for that person to say, well, you know, forget you. I'm not going to forgive you. Okay,
No, that's fine.
that's fine too. But you
SO,
did your part.
you
That's the important
SOB.
thing. Yeah, you did your part, and that's all we're responsible for.
Oh my God, my Greek father-in-law used to always say, man, I mean, when he said it was with vengeance. He's
Yeah.
dead to me. He's dead to me. I'm like, whoa.
Well, and like I've told you, I rarely call in a napalm strike on the bridge of my relationships, and it's been
Well,
called in before. I
yeah.
tape them off because you know why, Brett?
Why?
If I'm truly forgiving that other person, I have to have a hope that they may see the error of their way and circle back around and say, "Hey, you know what? You were right. I did I did violate your rights, or I did do something against you, and it was wrong."
Hey,
And then the circle's complete because you have that recompense, like you just talked about.
if you watch like the news ever or Dateline or 48 Hours, and there's a sentencing hearing, and the victim impact statements made by a family member of the complainants, of the people who lost loved ones, whatever, when they're saying, I forgive you, I want you to be free, I forgive you with all my heart, they walk out of that courtroom so free. And people are like, how could he ever say that? You know what I mean? How could he ever say it? He drowned my baby. How could he say it? Well, they get forgiveness. That's the reason I want to stop here because I keep losing electricity and everything else here today. But I want us to think. I was going to say a quote on forgiveness was Martin Luther King. Forgiveness is not an occasional act; it is a permanent attitude. It is a permanent attitude.
Sure.
But not to be preachy, Reverend's not here tonight. In the Bible, it says when you pray and you need to pray, go to the Lord's Prayer and pray it. You know, it says in the middle of the prayer to forgive, you know, forgive.
Doesn't say judge
So,
anywhere, does it?
no, it doesn't say judge or, you know, tell them they're dead to you. It says, hey, forgive your
Doesn't say judge,
trespasses.
castigate, punish. Doesn't say any of that stuff.
Forgive your trespasses as you forgive the ones who trespass you. What's it say? I don't know.
That's close enough.
Close enough.
That's the Reader's Digest version. And you did a good job.
Anyways, I love you guys. I think it's been a great show. Hey, you know what? People are complaining about the wind today. I'm like, I hate to tell you, I went to school in Lubbock, and every day was a windy day like this. And when when the sky got brown, you better take cover because here comes the sand.
Yep.
This was nothing. Well, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, but if it rains too much the next couple of days, we'll be complaining about that.
No, it's a great day. Great day to be alive.
Amen to that.
When a deep injury is done to us, we never recover until we forgive. I believe that. We are not perfect. Forgive others as you would want to be forgiven.
We got to expect the same treatment that we issue.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
All right. You guys have a great night. Great
right.
week. Love you
Yeah.
guys. See you. Bye.
Take care.